Discipline is the source of consistency, and consistency is the field where success takes root. All great accomplishment in the history of mankind came not on rushing gusts of creativity, but on the steady beat of disciplined work. Discipline sets apart the dreamers from the doers, the talkers from the achievers, and the temporary from the timeless. When you know the strength of discipline, you no longer wait for the perfect moment, the right timing, or the motivation spark, and you begin to take charge of your actions decision by decision. Because success is not what you do on occasion, but what you do on a consistent basis. Discipline starts the day you say your goals mean more to you than your comfort does. It's that voice inside, the one that tells you to do it anyway. When your brain says, not today. It's the power that encourages you to wake up early, study more, train harder, remain concentrated despite what's around you. Motivation is a visitor. It arrives and leaves whenever it feels like it. But discipline is a faithful friend. It remains with you during the highs and lows, during the dullest of days and the most thrilling. When you establish discipline, you do not depend on emotions anymore. You depend on principles. The truth is that most individuals know what to do in order to be successful. They know that they have to wake up early, exercise, work hard, and remain focused. But understanding is not enough. It is the doing that makes the difference. Discipline fills the gap between intention and action. It's simple to plan when inspiration strikes. It's more difficult to act when inspiration wears off. When results don't materialize right away, when no one is looking, but those moments, those quiet unsung moments, are where greatness is sound. Consider a woodcarver shaping wood. Every blow of the chisel is minute, nearly inconsequential, but day by day those small, exact movements build a masterpiece. Discipline is the same. Each small exercise of will, each day you stand with your word to yourself, each time you take the hard road rather than the easy one, you are shaping your destiny, etching your future. Not in giant strides, but in persistent effort day by day. That is the foundation on which you build success. Discipline also teaches respect for time, for purpose, and for self. When you are living with discipline, you start to realize that each hour that is wasted is a potential opportunity that is lost. You know your dreams are worth more than half-tried effort. You start to show up differently, not because you must, but because you want to honor your own potential. You're held accountable not to other people, but to yourself. And that's when the change happens. Because discipline isn't punishment. It's the greatest sign of self-love. It's telling yourself, I'm going to do what it takes because I think I can do better. There's always going to be resistance. Your brain will try to tell you that a missed day won't count, that a break won't be a problem, that comfort is safe. But comfort is the killer of progress. Every time you opt for ease rather than effort, you get weaker in willpower. Every time you get past resistance, you build it up. Discipline is a muscle, and just like any muscle, it becomes stronger when you challenge it. The more you exercise it, the more powerful it gets. Over time, what was previously impossible now comes easily. Rising early becomes habit. Remaining concentrated becomes second nature. Showing up becomes your identity. Discipline is constructed in solitude. It's in those early mornings when nobody's looking, those late nights when you could be sleeping, those mundane days when giving up looks more appealing. That's where character is built. That's where champions are created. Because discipline doesn't praise you right away. It constructs quietly under the surface. It makes you into the type of person success naturally seeks. Success doesn't pursue the talented, it pursues the discipline. You don't have to be great to live with discipline. You simply need to believe that your mission is more important than your excuses. The best way to start the great journey is by taking one step, and discipline helps you take that step every day, irrespective of how tiny it may be. Because when you create discipline, you create trust. Trust in yourself, trust in your process, trust in the fact that if you keep it up long enough, results will follow. Discipline provides control in a world of chaos, focus in a world of distraction, and strength in a world of comfort. It's the first brick in the achievement wall, the glue that keeps everything else stuck. Without discipline, even the finest plans fall apart. With it, even the most difficult goals become achievable. Consistency can be easy, yet its secret lies in something remarkable, the compound effect. The notion that small, barely perceptible actions, when done consistently over time, have monumental consequences. Most tend to underestimate the subtle power of consistent effort. They think that success arises from huge revelations, fortunate breaks, or monumental achievements. But in reality, success is constructed in the background of habit, in the seconds that seem normal, repetitive, and even boring. The compound effect is the principle of accumulation. It promises that every decision you make, every move you take, every effort you put in accumulates. Not at once, not in a night, but surely. Visualize a single drop of water hitting a stone. One drop amounts to nothing, 100 drops are meaningless, but month after month, year after year, decade after decade, that steady dripping carves the stone into shape. That's the power of doing a little every day, the power of consistency. It's the same with success. The little things are more important than the large things because they occur more frequently. Reading 10 pages a day will not transform your life this week, but after a year, you will have read more than a dozen books. Saving a little bit each month will not get you wealthy today, but over the years, it is wealth. Each time you opt for growth rather than comfort, each time you practice instead of procrastinate, you're investing in your future. The issue is we're taught to expect instant gratification. We crave quick results, quick solutions, overnight success. We begin something with passion, a new business, a new habit, a new dream, and want to see results within days. But the reality is, real progress works differently. The early days of consistency are not visible. You'll find no applause, no attention, and quite often no results. This is where most individuals quit. They quit just short of the breakthrough. They give up on their attempt because they can't yet appreciate its worth. But the compound effect doesn't pay the impatient. It pays the devoted. Consider a bamboo plant. You irrigate it for years, but nothing appears to occur. No development, no evidence of life over the surface. And then one day, upshoot it does a few feet high in a matter of weeks. But that rapid growth was not sudden at all. It was the culmination of years of behind the scenes progress below ground, where its roots were digging deep and broad. That's how consistency works. You can't always see progress happening, but down beneath the surface, you're developing strength, skill, and resilience. The little things that you do every day are building up to the day when it all becomes different. Consistency does not demand perfection, it demands persistence. You don't need to do it all correctly. You simply need to continue doing something. The risk is not in giving up, but in quitting. Each time you give up and start again, you restart your progress. Each time you persist with consistency, you compound your results. It's like rolling a fat wheel. Initially, it requires Herculean efforts to push it just an inch. Once it gets rolling, momentum carries you along. That's the compound effect in action. Effort evolving into ease, struggle evolving into strength. The compound effect is awareness too. Each decision you make brings you either closer to the goal or farther from the goal. Missing one workout may not do any harm, but missing it often enough compounds into weakness. Reading for 10 minutes may not be much, but doing it every day compounds into wisdom. It's the small choices, what you read, what you think, how you spend your time, that determine your fate. You can't control results, but you control your consistency, and over the long run, your consistency controls results. One other truth about the compound effect is that it repays patience. Development isn't a straight line, it's a curve. It begins slowly, barely perceptible, and then one day it takes off. You'll wake up and find yourself in a place people describe as lucky, without understanding how long you've been building toward that moment. That's why it's so crucial to have faith in the process. Keep at it, even when you don't see anything. The prize does not go to the person who labors sporadically, it goes to the person who persists day after day in the unnoticed seasons of toil. When you stick to daily action, you become different from the masses. Most will labor energetically for a few days, perhaps a few weeks, and then quit. The few who are persistent, who continue to water their dreams months after others have stopped, become unstoppable. Because the compound effect is not only about getting better, it's about changing. You build with each repetition, each habit, each act of discipline. The person you become through steady effort is worth more than the outcome itself. Every day that you opt for effort over excuse, you're amassing invisible wins. You're gaining momentum, forming habits, and conditioning your brain to maintain focus. And though you might not notice right away, they're building up quietly, mightily, inexorably. That's the magic of the compound effect of consistent action. It benefits those who persevere, who have faith in what's not seen, and who know that every little step contributes to a much greater path. Momentum is the quiet power that sweeps you along after discipline has done its job. It is the payoff for persistence, the unseen force that makes success seem easy once it seems so hard. At first, discipline requires effort. It takes will to get up early, to learn, to practice, to dedicate. Each movement feels like drudgery, each step a deliberated effort. But if you keep repeating those things long enough, something happens. What feels forced becomes natural. What's effortful becomes rhythm. That's when discipline turns into momentum. And that's when everything changes. Momentum is strong because it eliminates friction. It makes have become I want to. It turns habits from something you do into something you are. The first couple of days of any new path are the toughest. The resistance is greatest at the beginning. You battle your mind, your comfort zone, your fears, and your excuses. But as it goes on, you start to build momentum. Each day becomes stronger than the previous one. The repetition makes it familiar, and familiarity gives you confidence. That's the magic of momentum. It's not perfection. It's frequent progress repeated until progress begins to propel you. Consider how to push a massive train. At first, it doesn't even budge. It groans, it struggles. It requires every last drop of effort you have. But if you persist pushing even at a snail's pace, sooner or later it begins to roll. Once in motion, it's almost unstoppable. That's what occurs in life when consistency builds. Your own actions start working for you. That same discipline which required all your might before now energizes you. It powers your confidence, sharpens your concentration, and charges you ahead quicker than you ever imagined. Momentum doesn't take a day to build, but it can be lost in one. That's why consistency is so important. Missing a day might not seem like much, but it throws your rhythm off. Momentum is delicate when it's new, like a fire that must be sheltered from the wind. You must protect it, care for it, fuel it with repetition until it's strong enough to burn itself. If you remain constant long enough, your effort becomes reflexive. You no longer have to persuade yourself to work. It becomes second nature. You don't question whether you should do it. You just do it. Confidence also comes from momentum because it leaves a record. When you look at how far you've traveled, it's more difficult to doubt yourself. You start to have faith in your process, to understand that success is an inevitability if you continue to move. That's what keeps the finishers moving and the quitters quitting. Momentum-driven confidence is confidence that can't be shaken because it's not based on words or motivation. It's based on action, day after day. With each day that you remain consistent, you reaffirm that confidence, and before long, success is your own motivation. There's another strength buried within momentum. It amplifies outcomes. After building it, every move has a larger impact. You learn more quickly, make better, become stronger. Time and effort that you used to expend struggling with resistance can now be devoted to making yourself better. That's why momentum is the sweet spot of accomplishment. It enables you to get more done with less effort. When you get to that point, you no longer pursue success. Success starts pursuing you. You attract possibilities because your consistency has made you dependable, capable, and prepared. But momentum isn't the lack of effort. There are still going to be challenges, setbacks, and days when things don't work out. The exception is that when you have momentum, you bounce back quicker. You no longer begin at zero every time you face a setback. You begin at experience. Every challenge fuels your motivation instead of draining it. That's the way individuals who once found it hard to get started end up excelling with pressure, because their mind and habit have already been conditioned with consistency. Momentum also instills patience. It teaches you that real progress is not a matter of speed, but of direction. You can go very fast in the wrong direction and get nowhere, or go gradually in the right one and inevitably get somewhere you need to be. As soon as you know that, you slow down and begin to have faith in the current of your path. You begin to understand that each little effort is not only keeping you moving, it's driving you toward mastery. The most powerful benefit of momentum is that it makes progress self-supporting. Once you've established it, it starts to create its own momentum. You start to want the process because it provides you with direction. The same tasks that depleted you before now inspire you because you can recognize their worth. You start living differently, more concentrated, more on purpose, more satisfying. That's the subtle strength of momentum. It turns effort into ease, repetition into rhythm, and discipline into habit. At that point, you cease to pursue success. It follows you wherever you are. Consistency is not just about reaching goals. It is about becoming the kind of person who keeps promises, who endures, who grows stronger with every challenge. The true reward of consistency is not measured only in success, wealth, or recognition. It's measured in character. It's the quiet confidence that comes from knowing you've done your best every single day, even when no one was watching. When you live consistently, you construct something much stronger than success. You construct trust, integrity, and peace of mind. You construct a life that exists on the solid foundation of dependability and discipline. What's most wonderful about consistent living is that it reprograms who you are. Each day you honor your word to yourself. You strengthen your own faith and your power to change, to grow, to endure. Most individuals lose trust not because life becomes too difficult, but because they lose faith in themselves. They say they're going to do something, and they don't. Those broken vows undermine their self-esteem over time, but the individual who keeps doing the same thing every day, even if it's something relatively insignificant, starts to gain back that trust. Every time you arrive, you remind yourself, I can count on me. That is the basis of true confidence, the kind that doesn't require approval or applause from others. Consistency also creates credibility in the eyes of others. People respect those who continue to show up, who follow through on their word, who hold steady when others quit. The world is pattern conscious. It might not compliment you initially, but it never forgets persistence. With the passage of time, continuity is irrefutable evidence of dedication. In whatever you do at work, in relationships, or individually, consistency communicates one thing: that you are responsible, that you are serious about your mission, that you can be relied on to see it through. And once gained, trust through continuity unlocks doors no brilliance ever could. There is a humble dignity in living consistently. It does not always result in instant excitement or perpetual reward, but it results in meaning. It results in stability in a world that continually changes. It results in a sense of peace in the midst of uncertainty. When you live by your principles consistently, you no longer pursue fleeting highs because you've established something that endures, a framework of meaning that stands firm regardless of how fierce the gusts get. You realize that the happiness you seek doesn't result from doing remarkable things from time to time, but from doing the correct things consistently. That consistent beat provides purpose to your life. It makes your actions match your values and habits match your vision. The long-term payoff of consistency also happens in the way that it conditions your mindset. It teaches you patience, humility, and perseverance. You start to realize that progress is not made by moving fast, but by moving long. You start to honor the process instead of the result. You desist from comparing your chapter 1 to another person's chapter 20 because you've discovered that greatness is a time-consuming process. Consistency humbles you sufficiently to remain teachable and makes you strong enough to remain persistent. It transforms you into someone who is grounded yet determined, someone whom you can trust with success when it comes. When you live consistently, you start to feel the effect of compounding not only in outcomes but in wisdom as well. Every habituated action, every everyday exertion, every little win accumulates to the subtlety of knowing yourself and why you are here. You begin to see patterns. What gets you there? What doesn't? What energizes you? What depletes you? This awareness of self becomes one of the greatest benefits of consistency, because the more you know yourself, the more you can make your present line up with your future. Consistency doesn't only lead to success, it gives you focus on what's worth succeeding at. The real test of living consistently happens when the payoff is late in coming. When the world is quiet and the progress is slow, that's when your commitment is tested. Most are consistent only when it's easy, few are consistent when it's still. But the ones who create legacies, they know that even if outcomes aren't visible, growth is occurring in. The mind is getting stronger, the habits are going deeper, and the character is being molded. Success might come later, but it comes stronger because it was founded upon something that time can't destroy. Consistent living also has this inner sense of fulfillment that overnight success cannot give, because it's not about getting to a destination, it's about what you become along the way. The individual who remains consistent learns the value of work, the value of patience, and the power of self-control. They find contentment not in ending fast, but in remaining loyal. They start to enjoy the process itself, the early rising, the setbacks, the little victories, because each day is part of a greater cause. Eventually, they will look back and see that every endeavor counted, every decision defined them, every day added to the masterpiece of their life. The long-term payoff of living consistently is freedom, the freedom that belongs to knowing you are master of your habits, your direction, and your destiny. When you are no longer dependent upon momentary motivation, when your achievement rests upon sustained effort, nothing can deprive you of it. It's not borrowed, it's earned. Consistency builds a life that is stable, solid, and incredibly rewarding because it's constructed not on fortune, but on fidelity. Fidelity to your mission, fidelity to your growth, and fidelity to the commitment you made to yourself when you embarked on this journey. Success is not a mystery open only to the select few. It's a journey built by those who decide to remain consistent. Day by day, moment by moment, even without anyone observing, the real achievers in life are not those who work hard once, but work steadily, aggressively, and patiently. Discipline sets the foundation. Everyday action erects the building, momentum powers the drive, and steady living finishes the masterpiece. Each step, however small, is defining your future. Each act of perseverance is laying the groundwork for the moment that everything shifts. You don't need to be the brightest, the quickest, or the most gifted. You just need to keep showing up, because consistency makes hard work produce monumental outcomes. It turns doubt into faith, effort into brilliance, and time into success. The most powerful thing you have is the power to persevere, to keep pushing forward, to keep learning, to keep growing. When you live with consistency, success is no longer an elusive fantasy, but a natural byproduct. So wherever you're at, whatever you're creating, don't give up when it gets tough. Don't pause when it gets silent. Keep arriving. Keep grinding. Keep believing. Because in the end, success isn't for the ones who start hot, it's for the ones who keep steady. Consistency isn't just the secret to success, it is success itself.